Good morning everyone, I am back in the fortiest of the Williams, the capital of the Highlands. Bit of a spontaneous trip this, 2 days across the weekend. I thought, you know what, the weather's looking good, I've got a whole bunch of new kit I want to try out, and this seemed like the perfect weekend to do it. Now I've been to Fort William a few times off the back of the West Highland Way, the start of the Great Glen Way, and camping with friends. And I spent a lot of time in Glen Nevis itself, but I've never actually explored it. So that is the primary purpose of this weekend. Now my aim for the next 2 days is to take in as much as I can possibly see, and I have a little list that I put together. The first of which is Cow Hill, which I'm currently stood on. The second is the Dundeardail Fort. And tomorrow will be the main purpose of my trip, and that is a walk to Steall Falls, which is the second highest waterfall in Scotland as well as the UK itself. Very, very iconic and amazing to look at. I cannot wait to see it. I've been up since 3 AM. I didn't want to lose too much of today, so I thought I'll just get the first bus out, which meant I had to leave Edinburgh in the early hours of the morning. So I'm feeling a bit tired. It's 10 o'clock just now and it feels like I've been awake for weeks. It's funny actually, having finished the Great Glen Way last August with Chris, it was a bit of a drag for the first couple of miles. It was going through a lot of residential and industrial areas, and now from above I can actually see where they were, just going along here by Loch Linney, and it still looks just as bland as it was then. One of the big conveniences with the Cow Hill circuit is that you can actually pick it up from a number of different spots within Fort William. You can start it from the town centre, you can start it from the leisure centre like I did, or you can start it from Braveheart car park. We're off to the left. That one's for you, Chris. You can come back and practice on this one. Cow Hill Circuit and Summit. Okay. I thought this was supposed to be Cow Hill. Want my money back. All right, I do believe we are getting close. You're probably thinking, why are there no cows on Cow Hill? Well, it's the burger industry, mate. What do you want me to say? I'm about, let's just check, about 2.5 miles in, nearly at the summit. So just from the leisure centre there, that makes for a nice quick stroll in the morning, I find. You know, we're not even at the summit yet, and already the view is absolutely astonishing. In fact, the summit is just there. So the view's not going to be hugely different, just slightly higher, but what an amazing view that is. And although the first part of this walk was actually quite bland, and I've only done about 3 miles, this view, absolutely worth it. These are the things that I come for. This is why I hike, just to get these views that you don't see every day. Absolutely awesome. All right, so the summit is just here, right behind me is a huge tall mast. Kind of kills it a little bit. I understand its need and its placement, but it just kind of kills the view a little. Okay, so I'm following the route down the opposite way I haven't been. Now we're on a section called the Peat Track, and I believe this should lead out to Braveheart Car Park, where this little journey will end for today. Alright, so I've just come off of the Peat Track leading down from Cow Hill, and instead of going straight to the campsite, I'm actually going to head along the West Highland Way here to Dundeardail Fort, which I do recall the turn off for that when I walked the West Highland Way. So it's only about 4 miles, so I'm going to get that out of the way now and take another one off the list. I'm loving how accessible everything is, because I am also doing this. So basically, the stretch of path that runs behind the campsite will take me to every place that I need to go. Very, very convenient. As we see, Dundeardail Fort. You really get a sense of how big Glen Nevis is up close. Should hopefully aim for the summer to head up there. Obviously, this isn't the season when you're not experienced, so I'll give it a few months yet. And we have arrived. Right, so from where I left off from Cow Hill there, that's about another hour's walk. So if you're staying at Glen Nevis campsite, then it's pretty much the same. If you've walked the West Highland Way before, then you'll be very familiar with the route anyway. So it's quite hard underfoot, and it's coming towards the end of the day as well. So I probably should have done this first when I had more energy. But let's go check this place out. And one of the things that surprised me is that, given I spent most of today at an elevated height, granted it's not Glen Nevis levels of height, but I've still been quite high up. There's barely a breeze at all. It's been really, really pleasant. It's just enough of a breeze to keep you cool, but it hasn't been strong. So now I have the whole place to myself. It's just me and Ben. So the one thing that I was aware of is that there isn't really much of a fort to see here now. It's more just a mound. There's a few bits of rock and stone peeking through the ground, but it just goes to show you at this height what a strategic fort this must have been, when you can see enemies coming from miles and miles across the glen and the valleys. And there we go, Dundeardail Fort. Daredevil. Man, I loved having that place to myself. You wouldn't get that in Edinburgh and Arthur's Seat. I have never had the summit of Arthur's Seat to myself in the 21 years I've lived in Edinburgh. Never. Come out to the Highlands, everything's fair game. Absolutely brilliant. I'm currently heading to Steall Falls, which is Scotland's second highest waterfall. It's also the UK's second highest waterfall as well. That's why I've got up early, because it's a Saturday, it's the weekend, which means lots and lots of tourists. If I can get there before it really fills up, then I'll have more of a chance to film and just experience it as it is without the hustle and bustle. I've been quite lucky actually, because the campsite is almost completely empty. There's only maybe about 5 other tents. So it's been ideal. It was just a nice place to actually take my time in pitching the tent, because I hadn't had proper circumstances in which to do that. Just kind of figure out its little quirks and whatnot. Here we go. Right, so it's Achria back and Lower Falls. So I need to head down that way there. Now, I actually just remembered the end of last year, when I was looking into the area to see what there was to do, I actually did download the GPX routes, and I do have one for this exact route that takes me along to the falls. So I've actually just chosen to do it in reverse, because this was the way that whoever mapped this out, they had come back this way originally. So this actually works out quite well. So 6.82 miles to Steall Falls. So I better get cracking. I'm just entering a forestry area where there's been lots of tree felling, and there's just an eerie mist over the place. It's a supernatural feel to it. Alright, that wasn't too bad at all. That was only about 3.5 miles from where I started at the campsite to get to Lower Falls here, and it is absolutely spectacular. And these are just the lower falls. Well, that was well worth the walk, and that's just the smaller falls. We're not even at the big one yet. So I've now got about another 2 and a bit miles, I think, before we get to the start of the path for Steall Falls. I'm feeling psyched and pumped. I'm ready to do this. Okay, so I'm leaving the Lower Falls behind. There is a little path off to the right hand side of the falls that I'm currently walking along, and that means I don't have to actually walk along Glen Nevis Road itself while I'm dodging cars. So I think this goes on for about a mile before it rejoins the road, and then I'll just have to stick to the edges before I come up to the start of Steall Falls. Ooh, I might have a little sit down for 10 minutes. I don't actually need it, but let's suck up the view over here. admit, actually wasn't looking forward to this stretch of walk heading up to the start of the Steall Falls walk themselves, but I've only seen one car, and it's always beautiful. There's always something to look at, so don't be too put off if you're planning on walking it. It'll make for a long day, sure, but there's always something to grab your attention, so I thoroughly recommend it. Alright folks, here we are, Steall Gorge and Waterfall. The path begins. Let's do this. Right, I've changed into the spring gear because I was building up quite a sweat there, and it's nice and cool. Very, very excited to finally do this, finally see these falls. Definitely have to watch your footing. Quite the drop there, you could do some damage. Well, so much for me hoping to get this trail to myself. There's people either side of me, so it makes it very difficult to actually pay attention. Lots of scrambling, which I love. These boots are doing their job for this, that's for sure. Look at the drop. There it is, people. There it is. Second highest waterfall in Scotland and the UK. It's appeared in the Harry Potter films several times, most noticeably in Goblet of Fire, where Harry's been chased by the dragon. Right, I need to have a rant. So that path is beautiful, but it's also very dangerous, and there's basically just a sheer drop on your right as you're walking along, and yeah, I mean you would easily die if you fell. There are an awful lot of inconsiderate people out today. I had a group of trail runners who were just barging through people without giving them a heads up. There were people stopping to take photos or flying drones right at the worst possible places. Everyone was then having to stop while they were getting their shots, and yes, I'm filming. I just put the camera away, carried on, and just grumbled to myself. But anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get closer and experience this magnificent sight. hope you've enjoyed these sights as much as I've had. All the pictures that will be available from this walk will be on the Hike Begins at 40 Facebook page. Lots and lots of Steall Falls. That really was a great way to cap this experience off. As always, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Iceland and Everest Base Camp, second half of the year, and there's still more to come before then. So I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.